Hello again. This video is on learning to say no. Do you ever feel like you're always saying yes? Perhaps you find it really hard to say no, especially without feeling guilty afterwards. Maybe you often find yourself putting your own priorities aside while saying yes to others. Doing this can cause stress as you're putting too many responsibilities onto yourself. I know because when I was younger, I used to say yes to a lot of my peers when I wanted to say no. They never really pressured me into anything. I just used to be a big people pleaser. Some people also feel that you have to say yes in order to not be judged or feel like anyone is upset with you. However, you do not always have to say yes, and you do not need to feel guilty for saying no either. I'm going to talk to you about how to say no without feeling guilty. There are some occasions when you will want to say yes, such as if you owe someone a favor or when you have spare time and are able to help out. However, there are many times where you are well within your right to say no, and without feeling guilty about it too. You can't please everyone, but as long as you are polite and respectful when saying no, there should be no problems, and if there are, that person may not be a very good friend, and you should decide whether or not they respect you enough. So, tip 1 is acknowledge that you cannot do everything. If you always say yes, you're not going to have enough time to do anything. This will cause you stress and worry, as you will not have enough time for yourself. Make sure that whatever it is you were saying yes to is something that you have time for and, most importantly, actually want to do. If you have a lot going on that one day, try not to take on too much. If you have a free evening one day and the question is asked, you can say yes if you'd like. But you also need to know that it's okay to say no. Knowing and understanding that you can't do everything and that it's okay to not do everything will really help you when saying no to others. Tip 2, offer an alternative. Offering an alternative solution to someone is a great way to be able to say no. Even though you cannot directly help them, you are still offering a suggesting or solution which will help them out. As long as you can offer something that is relevant to the situation, it will actually help the person. Then this is a very useful solution to saying no. You're still being helpful to the person without saying yes and taking up your time. This is a great way to say no without feeling guilty. Tip 3, say no without apologizing. This can seem scary at first, however, once you know the best way of saying no to someone without apologizing, it will seem much easier to do. You need to recognize that you do not need to apologize to someone because you cannot do something that they have asked. Apologizing means that you are guilty of something, and saying no to someone is nothing to feel guilty about. Again, you don't need to sound rude about it. You can even offer something else. For example, it's great that you were throwing a surprise party for our friend. I don't have time today to help you with decorations, but I will bring a cake for the party when it happens. You are not apologizing, but you are offering something else when you have more time, which is great. Tip 4, understand why you have a hard time saying no. Being able to understand why you have a hard time saying no can really help you with the situation. If you know what it is that is stopping you from saying no, you can be more rational about the situation and see it from another point of view. Could it be because you are worried that you will be judged for saying no? Maybe you will think the person you are saying no to will be mad at you for doing so. If this is the case, then you may need to leave the friendship and surround yourself with nicer and more positive people. Tip 5, know your value. You need to learn your own value. Part of not being able to say no is usually because you want others' approval. You don't want them to be annoyed at you, judge you, or feel let down by you. However, if you are depending on others' approval, then the chances are that you feel their opinions are more important than your own opinion. This also means you're putting others about yourself. I guess I didn't really write that down right. Anyway, you need to take care of yourself and know you have value. Other people's opinions of you do not define you or do your problems or mistakes. So other people's opinions don't define you, your problems, or your mistakes. Tip 6 is have a go-to phrase. Already having a rehearsed phrase then you can use when you are asked something out of the blue is extremely helpful, especially if you were not great at thinking on your feet. An example of a go-to phrase could be, thank you for asking me, but unfortunately, I have other commitments, so I won't be able to help you with that. Doing this is a helpful way um, to have in case you were likely to panic when you're on the spot and asked a question.